Hare Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Srila Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai, Stand Founder Acharya Srila Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakti Jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Govinam Shama Kunda Radha Kundi Gita Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai, Ayavardham Ki Jai, Puridham Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Gangamai Ki Jai, Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai, Bhakti Dev Ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Veda all glories to the Son, all glories to the Son, all glories to the Son, all glories to Shri Gauranga, glories to Shri We're continuing our reading of Śrimad Bhāgavatam. We're continuing our reading Śrimad Bhāgavatam, third canto, chapter 33, text 29. Sangam tapo yoga mayam,
Sangam tapo yoga mayam,
mukta ke sangatam,
mukta ke sangatam,
Swangam tapo yogamayam.
Swangam tapo yogamayam.
Muktakesham gatambaram.
Muktakesham gatambaram.
Daiva guptam na bubudhe.
Daiva guptam na bubudhe.
Vasudeva pravishtadhi.
Vasudeva pravishtadhi.
Swangam tapo yogamayam.
Swangam tapo yogamayam.
Muktakesham gatambaram.
Muktakesham gatambaram.
Daiva guptam na bubudhe.
Daiva guptam na bubudhe.
Vasudeva pravishtadhi.
Vasudeva pravishtadhi. Swangam tapo yogamayam.
Swangam tapo yogamayam.
Muktakesham gatambaram.
Muktakesham gatambaram.
Daiva guptam na bubudhe.
Daiva guptam na bubudhe.
Vasudeva pravishtadhi.
Vasudeva pravishtadhi.
Swangam tapo yogamayam.
Swangam tapo yogamayam.
Muktakesham gatambaram.
Muktakesham gatambaram.
Daiva guptam na bubudhe.
Daiva guptam na bubudhe.
Vasudeva pravishtadhi.
Vasudeva pravishtadhi.
Swangam,
Swangam.
her body, tapaha,
Tapaha.
austerity,
Austerity.
yoga,
Yoga.
yoga practice,
Yoga practice.
mayam,
Mayam.
fully engaged in,
Fully engaged in.
mukta,
Mukta.
loosened,
Loosened.
kesham,
Kesham.
her hair,
Her hair.
gata,
Gata.
disarrayed,
Disarrayed.
ambaram,
Ambaram.
her garments,
Her garments.
daiva,
Daiva.
by the Lord,
By the Lord.
uktam,
Uttam.
protected,
Protected.
no,
No.
not,
Not.
Buddha.
Bubudhe.
She was aware of
She was aware of
Vasudeva,
Vasudeva.
in the Supreme Personality of God,
The Supreme Personality of God.
Pravishta,
Pravishta.
absorbed,
Absorbed.
Dihi, her thoughts.
Her thoughts.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila. Because she was always absorbed in the thought of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, she was not aware that sometimes her hair was loosened or her garments were disarrayed. Purport. In this verse, the word Daiva Uktam, protected by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is very significant. Once one surrenders unto the service of the Supreme Lord, the Lord takes charge of the maintenance of the devotee's body. And there is no need of anxiety for its protection. It is said in the second chapter, second canto of Śrimad Bhāgavatam, that a fully surrendered soul has no anxiety about the maintenance of his body. The Supreme Lord takes care of the maintenance of innumerable species of bodies. Therefore, one who fully engages in his service will not go unprotected by the Supreme Lord. Devahuti was naturally unmindful of the protection of her body, which was being taken care of by the Supreme Person. This verse, this topic is one that I don't know about you. It's a topic that I have struggled with for decades. What do we do? What don't we do? What should we do? What must we do? What does not need to be done because it's going to happen anyways? Do we not need to do anything because it's all going to happen? I spent the last, half hour, 45 minutes looking for various references to this topic. For example, in the Śrimad Bhāgavatam, this is the first canto, chapter 5, verse 18. Prabhupada quotes this many times. Tasyaiva heto prayate kovido na labhyate yad brahmatam parihada. Yes, Sitaram knows this verse. Talabhyate dukkavad anyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabhira ramnasa. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor, watch this word, they should endeavor. They should do something. But what? What should they do? They should only do that for that purposeful end, which is not attainable, even by wandering from the topmost planet, Brahmaloka, down to the lowest planet, Patala. Now here's the difficult one. As far as happiness derived from such enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time. Just as in course of time we obtain miseries, even though we do not desire them. What do I do with this? It's not my experience. In my personal experience, yes, there are miseries that come without my endeavor, for sure. But there's a lot of them that come because of my inaction, stupidity, things that I do on purpose, out of lack of intelligence. Oh, then the question comes, well, where's the intelligence coming from? Is that lack of intelligence because Krishna, he supplies intelligence, he has not given me the intelligence? Thus, he's to blame. He's to blame. If I think in that way. Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani sarabhya. Ahankar vimudadma kartaham iti manyate. Krishna says in the Gita that this kartaham, I am doing this, is foolish. It's being carried out. But then the question comes, if I'm not doing this, then why am I responsible? Why do I get karma? Jiva Goswami answers this. He says, the jiva must be understood to be the karta. Because if the jiva is not the karta, ultimately, then why is there karma? But what is he the karta of? What do we do? And what do we not do? The verse of Krishna's verse in Bhagavad Gita says, Prakrite kriyamanani gunai karmani Brahmani Sarvashava. Hankar Mudha Makartaha Mukti Mangyate. The living being that out of ahankar thinks himself the doer of those things that were actually being carried out by material nature. So in ahankar, as I identify myself with this body, I think I'm doing all of this. But actually it's not me. It's the material nature. The modes of nature acting. But what's the basis of their action? Why are they acting in this way? Here it says, happiness derived from sense enjoyment can be obtained automatically in course of time. Is it really automatic? This is my problem. This is one of those, resolving of contradictions. Because it is, in one sense, automatically taking place, but it is also taking place as a result of my karma. What I've done. But then, what I did before, was that something that automatically took place? Is this just one big cycle of robotic, activity going up and down, which totally out of my control? One devotee, I was in my research, one devotee was asking Srila Prabhupada, he says, well, if it's all going on, if everything is just going on then why does Krishna say, tell us to sacrifice, to do sacrifices? Prabhupada's answer was, by doing sacrifice, we please Krishna. And when we please Krishna, then Krishna, ye jatam abprabhadyante tam stataiva bhajam yaham. What we get from this world is in proportion to our connection with Krishna. How we surrender to Him. If our surrender is to His material Maya energy, then we get that reciprocation. We get karma. Depending on the choices that we make. This play of free will, our own choices, and the material energy, karma, and destiny is inscrutable. Elsewhere in the Gita, Krishna describes that this interplay of our own free will and the actions and reactions of this material nature, the karma and the modes and so on, it is like a banyan tree. Now, how many of you have seen a banyan tree? You've all seen a banyan tree, good. I have not yet seen the big one in Calcutta. You probably have seen it. I want to go and see this tree someday. This banyan tree in Calcutta extends over acres land. One tree. It extends so far. There's a tree, a banyan tree that I just saw in Hawaii, in the yard of our temple there. Very beautiful, beautiful banyan tree. And that one was not so huge, but still it had this characteristic that you can see in the banyan tree in Calcutta. Where did it begin? Which is you can't find it. You cannot say, well, this is where it started and this is where it went. Because it's just everywhere. And each part of the tree looks like a trunk. And then there are branches that all become like more trunks. And which is the root and which is and he's got a picture of something. One of those banyan trees. The one in Hawaii is like this too. You see this, it's about, not quite, the size, I guess, the back of the temple room here practically. And you can kind of speculate that maybe the central part is where it began, but you can't really tell because each side is big and which one is and that's the nature of this interplay of our free will and our karma. We can't tell. Whenever this topic comes up, however, that I was noting, that when Srila Prabhupada speaks of this, just as here in the Bhāgavatam, in every single place where we hear about this, the futility, why happiness is coming automatically, misery is coming, in each case, there's a purpose. In each case, the purpose is change your course. Don't endeavor for these karmic fruits. What you need will come in any case. This verse that we read today describes, how does it go? Nitya nityanam chaitananam eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. That there is one eternal existing being from which all others are coming. And that one is supplying the necessities of all others. In today's verse, it was noted that every jiva. Now this poses another problem for me, because that's also not my experience. And Prabhupada talks sometimes about the unfortunate living entities in other species of life. I was listening recently, and he was talking about, the birds and so on. They're getting their needs. Even Jesus describes this, that the birds in the field, they get their. So why God will not take care of you? But then there are a few. We see them out there. Some, at least in Mayapur, we often see some living entities in the bodies of dogs who. They're not doing well at all because of something. They're not getting. There's other dogs who push them away and fight and deny them, and they don't get what they want, what they need to eat. It happens actually all the time in the natural world. There are cases, this is one of the, I don't want to speak about it, there is, in America, there are various places where the populations in Yellowstone Park, for example, or in the natural parks, there was a move in decades ago to eliminate the wolves, because the wolves are dangerous to human beings. But then they found that the population of other animals was increasing and the food supply was decreasing and animals were starving due to lack of food. They brought back the wolves ate enough of the other animals so that it all balanced out again. So there's a balance in nature that provides this sustenance. But it's still jiva sa jivanam. It's still one living entity surviving the life of another. So although we can say that yes, God is providing for everyone, but you may be the provision for someone else. So that's the nature of this material world. And the karma, the play and interaction of karma and the modes of nature are so inscrutable that regardless of our endeavors, we may make so much effort and still fail. So at every moment when this topic is brought up, even though it is so difficult to comprehend and understand, I have great difficulty. Because I know in my own experience that there are things that I do that bring distress, and there are things that I do that seem to be. And then the question is, well, how did I get to do those? Did I get to do those because I had some karmic, benefit that inspired me to do that particular thing, or when I forget to do something, oh, that was my karma that I forgot. We don't know. But the message keeps coming that regardless, it's all futile. The end result is we die. That's the end result. That's all we're going to die. And then we're going to get another body, and we'll do it all over again. And it's just, and sometimes we hit the jackpot, right? Things work out in our favor, and more often than not, it's not so good. So therefore, this message: persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor. We should endeavor. We must make effort. We are living beings. It is our nature to be active. We have to do something. But let's do something as described for that purposeful end, which is not obtainable by wandering up and down, obtaining the heavenly delights, or either the upper heaven or the lower heaven. What we can't get, what can't we get? We can't get freedom. We can't get freedom from this cycle. We can't get freedom from death. We should strive for that. And how do we do that? What is the effort? What is the effort that we must make to obtain this? Now, it seems a little interesting that the effort we must make is to surrender. Now, surrendering, in some ways, it sort of connotes no effort. I mean, if you, in one kind of situation, when you surrender to a certain, it means you give up. You give up. You're not going to try anymore. You're not going to fight or try to get what you want. You're just going to surrender to whatever is there. So how is it that surrender becomes an effort? What's the effort of surrender? So let's see. I know Sitaram can quote. Anukulyasya, right? It begins the verse. 6 qualities of surrender. Have you learned that yet, Ryan? Not yet. Good one, too. It's quoted in, particularly in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, so we can give reference here, 22, 100, but it's also quoted from the in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Anukulyasya sankalpa. So here the first effort is anukulyasya sankalpa, to accept what's favorable. The word actually is sankalpa. Now we view the sankalpa, that term is used in other contexts, right? You make a sankalpa, you make a determination. I'm going to make an effort. Sankalpa. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikalyasya varjanam. So these two are things we must do. We must do these things. Rakshishyatiti vishvasho. We have to have faith. And the next one, gopite varanam yata. This is reflected in today's verse. That Devahuti, she had this surrender. She was surrendered in this sense. Particularly is being mentioned here, that she was surrendered in the sense of feeling and understanding and knowing that Krishna is maintaining her. Gopite. Gopite is translated here as being the guardian, like the father or husband, master or maintainer. So one of the 6 items described here of surrender is to how should I say, to accept, to have no doubt, to have no reservations, to be convinced. The one just before this is rakshishyati vishvasho. Vishvasho means to have faith. So to have full faith, to be convinced that Krishna will protect me. Now this faith in Krishna's protection is also very interesting. How does that express itself in our lives? Does it mean that we do nothing for our own protection when there is some, yes, hands off the wheel, right? Exactly. Krishna will drive. He'll protect me. Oh, there's a red light here, and there's cars rushing through the highway, but I can cross the street because Krishna will protect me. I quoted this in a previous class. The stories that we have. There's another, so many different stories. The one that I find so interesting, and I don't have a good source for this, it was related by a devotee, I think, Amarendra. He's a well-versed, so I assume anyway, he's a good devotee, so I'll take it to be at least a good story. I think we can, where it's from, I don't know. It's a story of Tulsi. I think I told this before about Tulsi Das and Surdas meeting in Govardhan, and how there's a bad elephant, and Tulsi Das Surdas immediately when he hears, he's blind, so he's not able to do much, but he does find a tree and climb up into it, and Tulsidas chants Ram, 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 and the mad elephant comes and surrenders and so on. And Tulsidas mentions but I mean, you're a great devotee. Did you not consider? I mean, Krishna will protect you, no? And Surdas's reply was, yes, but that means he has to come here, and I have to. I'm his servant. He's not my servant. I have something readily available for my protection right here, and I'm going to force him to come. In the same context, there's another story from somewhere where apparently Krishna and Rukmini are in Dwarka and enjoying a wonderful meal together, and all of a sudden Krishna stops. Because somewhere in Braj there's a devotee and there's like a mad dog there, and Krishna's, I have to go to protect my devotee. And then in a few seconds he just sits down and goes back to his eating. And Rukmini inquired, well, what happened? Well, the devotee got a stone and he threw it at the dog, and it's all taken care of. So we are given opportunities. Krishna's protection, how does Krishna protect us? He gives us facility for our protection. And ultimately, he sometimes may protect us by some so-called karmic experience. Tatenu kampam shushmikshamano. Tatenu kampam shushmikshamano. Punjaya evatmaka kritam vipapa. Fidvag vapu bir. Vadatu namaste. Vijeta yo mukti pade sadaya. We as devotees, Brahma describes that the devotees, they patiently go through what appears to be what and they consider that this is the result, this is what's happening to me, this is because of my past karma. And they actually consider that I deserve much more. Krishna is just giving me a slight pinprick where I deserve a slash to my arm, I lose a limb. But I go on. Rid Vag Gopupir, I go on with my heart, my mind, my Rid Vag, my words, my body, my heart, to serve him. And we've read that in the commentary of Sridhar Swami, that Sridhar Swami describes that this is actually not karma for the devotee. Because Krishna says about surrender. Sarva dharma parityaja mamekam sharanam. Give up all these other religious activities which are meant to help you with your karma. Sarva dharmam parityajam mamekam sharanam raja. Aham tam sarva papabhyo mokshaya shakmi masuchaha. I'll free you of all this karma and sinful reactions by surrender. When we surrender, when we make that effort of the surrender, and the surrender, in this verse we also see the effort, sarva dharmam parityaja. So to surrender, to make the surrender, we have to do something, we have to give up the other. Patikulyasya varjana. We have to give up those kinds of dharma which actually are obstacles to our devotional service. We can accept and we should accept those which are favorable. Therefore, we continue to do our duties in this world, which are favorable to our devotional service, and which giving up would be in itself also an obstacle to our devotional service. Surrender does not mean to stop to give up your activities in this world. We have our duties. We must continue. That is part of the surrender. To continue in our duty, but for what purpose? For the satisfaction of Krishna. For his satisfaction. He's given us these duties. He's given us these responsibilities. He's placed us in this world for his purpose. We see it in that light, then all of our activities, which otherwise we might be engaged in for our material development, which is useless ultimately, will become favorable to our devotional life. So, having this conviction, as Devahuti describes, is such that in her particular case, her conviction and her absorption became so strong that it appeared to be, it doesn't, the verse here doesn't say she was neglectful. It says that she was unaware. She didn't become neglectful of her appearance on purpose. That I'm going to be I'm going to wear dreadlocks and I'm going to be just pose as a sadhu and go to the Kumbh Mela and sit down and get people to give me money. How many have been to the Kumbh Mela here? It's incredible. Some of the things that people do. They sit down and they're anyway, don't want to get into too many details. Quite interesting. But this is all external. In the case of Devahuti, we see here that she just was not aware. She just was not aware of her external looks because she was absorbed. Absorbed in the thought. Here's it's bubude. She was aware of, she was not na bubude. She was not bubude. That's the first time I've heard that. It's a very interesting Sanskrit word, bubude. Na bubude. She was not aware of all of this because she was feeling daiva guptam, fully protected by Krishna, and Vasudev pravishtadihi. She was absorbed, dihi, her thoughts were all absorbed. Her thoughts. She was thinking of Vasudev. She was thinking of Krishna. She wasn't in a state of oblivion, just without thought, which is the aspiration of some yogis. But her mind was full. She was unmindful of the material circumstances, that fully mindful, fully absorbed in her mind, in her thought, in her inner world, was filled with Krishna. Her external world, she was unmindful of, but our inner world. That is our aspiration. That our inner world, it's not actually yet the real world for us. If we show some gradation, then in one sense, what is considered to be the real world, the world of matter, of the physical things that we are situated within, is considered that's the real world. But actually our experience of the world, our real world, what is actually real to us is our mind, our subtle world. That's what we're actually experiencing. We don't really directly experience anything of the material. It's all filtered through our senses and through our brains and through all kinds of other mechanisms, and then it arrives in the pool of our minds. And there we sit, the conscious being, the Atma, observing this pool of thought and sensual activity. That's our world, ultimately. And sometimes it's a waking state, sometimes it's a sleeping state. And we're here to try to purify that world so that what we see in that world, what we experience in that world, is all filled with Krishna. That even when we experience the material, when we see the sky, we see the trees, we see everything, we see it in connection with Krishna. This was Devahuti's absorption. She was absorbed as her whole inner world was simply filled with Krishna. And we can do that too, with practice, by beginning with our chanting the holy names, Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. We can bring Krishna into our inner world through attention, and thus cleanse and purify it to make it more and more free of the dust and the dirt that prevents us from truly experiencing Krishna's presence. And maybe when that happens, we will also become unaware of our external circumstances. Many devotees in our line have demonstrated this. Srila Prabhupada sometimes did, but because he had the service, he saw himself simply as a servant of his spiritual master, he restrained and he apologized if he exhibited this kind of state of oblivion out of internal ecstasy. One time this happened in Mayapur. I'm not sure if I was there because I don't really remember it. Others, when they recount this, they say it's just extraordinary how Srila Prabhupada at one point during his, I'm not sure if he was speaking, I don't remember. But he just stopped. And he was obviously in some samadhi. And the devotees were wondering, what do we do? He's just sitting there. And finally, one devotee thought, perhaps we should do kirtan. And the kirtan started, and then Prabhupada came back into, you could say, external consciousness. And later on he says, I don't do that often. if it was apologizing. Because we would take it we can't understand, and we would maybe even try to imitate this type of behavior and just delude people, which did happen in our movement. There were some individuals who did try to exhibit it in a very deluded way. Didn't end up nice for them. So, but we can aspire. We can aspire for this state of samadhi, of spiritual absorption, but still keep ourselves neat and clean and presentable to the world for the service of Srila Prabhupada. So, we have a few more minutes for comments and questions. And I don't know if I've helped myself a little bit with this dilemma of the, who's the doer, what's the doer, what's automatically coming, what's not automatically coming, etc. But it's still very mysterious to me, the whole interplay. And it is bound to be, the interplay of karma and free will and so on. But again, the main point, that whenever this topic comes up in the Bhāgavatam, it always comes back to, don't do that, surrender. Don't put your effort must be there, but don't put it into into the material world, which in any case, you can't do much about. How much? Okay, that's a matter of debate, but ultimately it's birth, death, old age, and disease. And that you're not going to change. But if you put your effort by surrendering to Krishna, then you get everything. So yes, any comments? Yes?
Hare Krishna. Maybe you can repeat 6 qualities of surrendering one more time. I remember in David.
Yeah, somehow this microphone does not, you have to speak loudly, or it's on, but I'm not hearing it. So speak loudly.
As long as YouTube.
He's asking if you can repeat the 6 limbs of surrender.
6 qualities of surrender.
Yes. Well, I'll do it from the, and I'm still, I'm, I know some verses, but this one I haven't memorized. Now I'm memorizing it, but I'm going to read it.
I'll put it up on the screen.
Oh, it's up on the board. Anukulyasya sankalpa pratikalyasya bharjanam rakshishyatiti vishvasho goptrite varanam tata. We covered those. Then the next 2, atmaknikshepa karpanye sadvira sananagadihi. So we covered the anukulyasya sankalpa, that to accept everything that is favorable, and the pratikulyasya bharjanam, to reject what's not favorable. Rakshishyatiki vishvasho, to have full faith that Krishna will give me all protection, and to understand what that protection is. And then goptrite varanam tata, that to understand and to accept and to believe that Krishna will maintain and take care of me. Atmanikshepa, and based on all of this, Atmanikshepa, to give myself fully, to give myself full self-surrender. Out of what? Karpanye, in humility, in full humility. It's in humility that we can do all of this. When we attain, when we realize how insignificant and infinitesimal and just powerless in so many ways. There's a great statement I love to repeat. It's in the, because we're also in one sense in the recovery movement. So in the recovery for addicts, we're all addicts in some way or another. There's a nice phrase that they say, because in the 12 steps, one of the second step is to accept that I am powerless over my addiction. But in the community, it's often repeated, yes, we are powerless, but we're not helpless. We have no personal power. Our power, it's like, standing and there's a tsunami wave coming our way. We have no power to stop the tsunami, but we can run. We have legs and we can run. So simply, our power over this material world is nothing. But we have Krishna. That's surrender. Okay?
One brief comment. I just appreciated that when you were saying about Krishna karma, Rupa Goswami talks about Krishna karma, and I was thinking of Gajendra, because when Gajendra is cursed by Agastya Muni, that he'll take birth as an elephant in his next life, even though he's practicing, he's actually absorbed in a trance when that happens on Krishna, very advanced devotee. And yet, when he gets cursed like that, he immediately considers it to be the mercy of Krishna and accepts it. And actually the result of that is that Krishna used the situation to take him back to the spiritual world. So we don't exactly know, what Krishna's plan orchestrating certain events in our life might be. It's ultimately for our own benefit.
We know that. We know that Krishna is going to take care of us. That we know it, we should know it, we should believe it, but we should not be impatient. All right, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Jai Shri Krishna.
Yes, Pancaratna Prabhu ki.
Jai.